So Stefan's the man in control.
Stefan is always the man under control, and he's he's rad because I'm the Speedway guy. I live in the Speedway bubble, and Stefan, we make a joke about this, but he's the guy who lives outside the bubble. He lives in the real world. I live in the slider.
Is Stefan a Speedway fan?
So
I'm getting there.
He has to be.
I am.
You're getting there.
I don't have all the history of the Speedway, and I'm trying to learn all the regulations. But I'm learning, and it's really interesting now. The thing is that the more you get involved, the more fun it is.
So therefore, we make contact with the man himself, Morgan Hughes from Joe Hughes International, as I commonly refer to it as the Speedway Riders version of Toys R Us. When you go to Joe Hughes International, you grab yourself a shopping cart or a basket because you only walk in there to buy maybe a couple of chains. Maybe you need a really cool color fuel cap, or you want to get a new set of wheels that's got, black rim and red spokes or something like that. But you walk out with a shopping cart full of all the things that you didn't need.
Yeah.
Actually, you did need them. You probably did. At some point, you're going to need them. So you just get them anyway while you're there. It's eye candy.
Is that how it works?
Exactly. So how are you guys doing?
You know what? We're doing not too bad. I speak for myself. Sorry, Stefan.
I am the same. It's good.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And
we're having some good weather.
Oh,
the weather is kind of like the topic of conversation everywhere right now, right? Around Europe, even where you guys are. So you're in England, you're in the Midlands there in Derby.
Heat wave. We're having a heat wave right now.
You're having like a crazy heat wave, right? Haven't you guys had something like 53 or 55 days of no rain at all?
Yeah, absolutely crazy. But we're loving it. It's just like Australia.
Well, see, you're different though, Morgan. You're not like the typical English person, I think, because you're pretty international. You've been all over the world numerous times, and you seem to fit in well with the super hot climates in Australia or in California or wherever the heck you end up in Spain. So
yeah,
you fit good.
We love it.
To the average British person, do they really love this extended heat wave, or are they ready to be cool down and get wet again?
Everybody is complaining about it, and it's just I'm just loving it. I'm just loving it right now. But yeah, there's a lot of people complaining about it.
And that's
saying it's too hot. They want it to be cooler. It's cooler, they'll be complaining.
Man, it's
sure.
It's the same here in Sweden. Being here this summer, Stefan knows it better than I do, of course. But
I've never seen anything like this.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's all across Europe, isn't it, at the moment? But let's not complain. Let's just enjoy it.
You know what? It's like 2.5 months, at least, maybe 3 months of, the better part of 23 to 30 degree weather every day. And even the nights, some of the nights have been what they call tropical nights, right? Where it doesn't go below 20 degrees.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I mean, you wake up in the morning and fans are going because we don't have air conditioning or anything like that. So it's so hot.
We've got some friends over from Australia right now, and they landed last week, and they're loving the weather, just like their Australian summer.
Well,
in fact, you'll know who it is.
The Cox family has to be.
No, Steve Langdon family.
Oh, the Langdon family. I was sure that you were going to say the Cox family there. Okay, the Langdons. Those are like your adopted Australian families, right?
Yeah. Whenever you go to Australia, as you know, Greg, you're always made welcome. You've always got a bed. They even lend you the car. Whatever it is, they're always welcoming. And I guess that's part of the Speedway family. And we both know it. And wherever you go in the world, it's almost like an open door.
That is so true.
Yeah. Cool. It's just what we've always done. My mum and dad did it in the past when my dad was racing. and you just make so many friends around the world. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting. You said that too, because your parents have always had the door open. So you've pretty much grown up in a society of everybody's equal, everybody's welcome, and you've had a lot of people come and go through your doors, and they still coming and going. So
Yeah, for sure.
the hospitality is second.
If we worked out how many world champions we've had through the door and staying overnight, it'd be a lot.
I think a few of us have had a key for a period of time.
Yeah, definitely.
I just wanted the key to the warehouse.
Yeah. Yeah, not many people get that key.
No, that's right. I understand. So if you do, well, Big Rich, he probably had a key, right?
Big Rich, he's got his key. He actually flew in today, or late last night he flew in to the UK.
So that's funny, because I sent him a message yesterday to his American number, and he didn't reply. So now I know why he didn't reply. He'll
be airborne.
So do you want to tell everybody here why is Big Rich in the UK? Why are these Australian people in the UK? I think there's a little something going on in the next few days, right?
Yeah, there is a little bit of something going on in Derby on Monday, actually.
Yeah,
we're all very excited about it. That is absolutely awesome news that Greg's going to be joining us for our wedding on Monday in Derby.
Congratulations!
So I'm getting married on Monday.
On Monday, he's getting married on Monday.
Coming, yeah.
How many people in the world do you know have got married on a Monday?
Now I know one. Why a Monday?
Well, it's why a Monday in the middle of summer?
Yeah.
We chose a Monday so we could have some special guests and some very good and close friends like Greg come to the wedding, because on a Sunday they're racing in Poland, Tuesday they're racing in Sweden, so we figured they could get to England on the Monday.
So your wedding is scheduled from the Speedway World's schedule.
Pretty much, yeah.
If he wanted to get married in the summer and have all the people that he's grown up and spent his whole life with, that was the only choice he had. What an understanding wife to be.
You've got to choose one day when there's no Speedway.
And that,
so
you know what?
It looks like we picked the perfect day, because the weather's looking like it's going to be about 25, 26 degrees and some beautiful sunshine.
You guys picked the right day and the right year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's set in a beautiful old mill over 4 floors, and there's a river next to there. It'll be absolutely beautiful.
Wow. And the tuxedo is off after two. When the wedding is done, then you take all the clothes off. In that heat, you
go for it
in the shorts
in the river.
Is that what's going to happen right after the I do? Everybody's got to strip off all their clothes and jump in the river.
Stunning in underwear.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Very understanding wife again.
Yeah.
Very understanding wife.
Can you please have white boxer shorts on?
White.
A wet t-shirt contest? No, it's a wet underwear contest. We want to. Everything's going to be revealed.
Yeah.
So no, we're really excited about it, and really grateful that Greg and a few other Speedway riders are going to be able to make it. So yeah, really.
Hey, I'm grateful for the invitation. The whole family was invited, and as Morgie just said, we have the Poland Sunday, we have Sweden Tuesday, and Bill, our little guy's got this football cup this weekend. Wilbur's off to Denmark for 10 days with Eric Gunderson. So we're like half of us.
Everybody's super busy.
Everyone's everywhere, but I can't miss this. I wouldn't miss it for the world. And like Morgie, you and I, we go so far back.
I know.
From pretty much day one of me touching the European soil, 1989, May of 1989. Morgan was already a junior. Cradley Heath. You were there, and there's a few photos floating around now too that we've been you've been sharing with me, and I've got photos in my albums in the US. I don't have them with me, which I'm bummed about, but you're really starting to date or show our true
we're
age.
getting old, dude.
You can say we're getting old. Yeah, you can say it like that.
We're getting old, dude.
Yeah, but we look good. I tell you what, we look good for our age.
Yeah, for sure.
And
no, I was looking up to come to your wedding, and that was an awesome day too. But yeah, just going back to the Speedway, back in '89 when you first came over, I was Cradle Heat Juniors, and we've kind of built our friendship from there on, haven't we?
You know what? It's more of a friendship than a business. You know, I had the business side where I became a part of the Joe Hughes or the Hughes family, you know, in that sense, the way I look at it, because your dad, I think from day one, he gave me support and help with a generous discount of buying parts. And that discount has gone right up to present day. So he obviously, you know, he liked us, and we ended up becoming, you know, we were there more often than not, hanging out with you, or you were hanging out with us, and you know, we went in there.
Yeah.
That was the greatest thing ever. Is, you know, I was living with Lance King, and we lived in the Midlands, and if we needed a part from Joe Hughes, it wasn't that far to drive, but if for some reason you didn't have the time because you were building your bikes, you called to Joe, is Morgan's dad, and you ordered the part, and they had the courier service. It was on your door the next day. It was unreal how quick. Like, I just remember, like, it would just happen. And
that was before web shops.
That was way before web shop. It was just, you actually had to call somebody. You really did. You had to call somebody.
Cool.
There was no text messaging or anything like that. You had to call them.
You had to go into the house and use the
You had to speak to somebody.
Yeah, I actually had to talk to them. And Morgan and I used to talk to each other.
That's cool.
But
we try to continue that service up until the present day now. So
you pretty much
you kind of build your customer base that way.
Yeah, if I need something from, you know, quick or whatever, I call Morgan. And, you know, even me being based in Sweden these days, if I get it in before a specific time in the UK, I can still have it the next day, you know, and they have such a great deal with their freight people or their shipping logistics. It's like, yeah, it's guaranteed. So he always says, do you want it tomorrow or do you want a standard?
In fact, I've got a parcel coming out to you today, haven't I?
Yeah, exactly. We got a parcel.
How big is
coming out to Wilbur? Are they for Wilbur's bike?
Yeah, nearly everything in that order. Actually, everything in that order that I've got from you right now is for Wilbur's bike. Yeah. And it started off with I needed a pipe, and then I needed a sprocket, and then it was like, oh yeah, I need this sprocket, then I need that sprocket. I'm like, Morgan, have you sent those parts yet? Because if you haven't, hang on, I got more.
I love the way he's spending his dad's money.
Yeah, he's pretty good at it. He's pretty good at it. Don't tell his mom.
No. And I bet is Bill playing football? Is he the footballer?
Mm-hmm. He's
all about much cheaper.
Well, it's a lot cheaper, and you know, I sometimes feel bad and feel guilty because Bill's living the Speedway world with us, whether he wants to or not, and he fits right in, and he's such a good. He never complains, you know, and he deserves a lot more than he gets because he's an awesome kid. They all three are awesome kids, but he gets overshadowed constantly by this Speedway life.
Speedway world.
Yeah, Wilbur's just absorbing it all, and he plays it well. You know, he's a little young adult and got it all figured out. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's fun because it's, you know, the generations are coming, and you've seen a few of them. If you look back now, when we were, you know, you were racing yourself when we started in '89.
Yeah.
And just a young junior, and looking at that photo you just sent today too, it's classic when you got the '89 Cradley Heath vest on jersey, the race.
Yeah, back in '89. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure I've raced with you. Might have been 1990 or '89. I can't remember exactly, but I got a couple of chances to race in the Cradley team. one of the times was at Bradford, and to this day was probably the best speedway track I've ever ridden on. Not sure about you, Greg, but it was such an awesome track.
Really awesome, and probably one of the fastest, right?
Yeah. When you actually walk the track, I can remember actually looking up the corners, and they were so high and so banked, but it made for so many different racing lines, and great racing.
Really great racing. You remember the 1990 World Final there, right? When Perry Johnson won.
Yeah, I think it was there. Yeah.
Wasn't that you and I and Billy and everybody that sat up in the grandstands in turn 1 and watched?
Could have been. Yeah.
I don't know if Billy and I were definitely there. Maybe you could have been involved in the pits or somewhere at that point too. But yeah, that was 90, because 91 you were with Billy in Gothenburg, huh? When you worked with him. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and you just reminded me of another Bradford trip that you were making, and I had a phone call. You remember your van fire?
Oh my gosh, yeah, 1997.
Remember that?
Yeah, I can remember.
What year was that?
97. That's the year I won.
97.
Yeah, I had a
wow.
quite an eventful year that year.
I was in the workshop, I think, cleaning Sam Malenko's bikes, so I was mechanic for Sam then.
Yeah. And
I get a phone call from Sam saying, you need to get the bikes built and in the van and drive them straight to Bradford. And I was like, why? What's happened? And you was on the way to Bradford for, was it a Grand Prix?
Yeah, it was the Grand Prix.
Grand Prix, wasn't it? Yeah.
We did practice on
Friday,
yeah, and then it was the race Saturday, and it was one of them really unusually hot days in England then.
Yeah, you tell us what happened on the way.
Yeah, I stayed in a hotel up there near Bradford, and my mechanics, Craig and Roger, and their families, they
Craig, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Craig was driving. Him and Roger were in the car with their families. And Tracy Hart was there too. I think she was in the car with them. So they all drove back to Tamworth and cleaned the bikes after practice, and then they were on the way to the race on race day. I don't remember exactly what time it was, but obviously to get there in time for all the technical info and all that. They just got off the motorway there, right where you turn off the M62, is it? Or M60?
M62 it was, yeah.
And what a memory. That was good.
Yeah, it's a good.
It's all coming back to you.
It's all, yeah. Oh, rad. So they were just got off the motorway, and at one part they were turning there, and they were stopped at a roundabout, I think, or a traffic light, and suddenly they heard a woof, and a fire had broken out. They were the girls were sitting in the back, and Craig and Roger were in the front, and one of maybe Craig's wife was in the front seat too. I think Roger was in the middle seat, and Craig's wife was on.
They said that a wall of flame just flew under their feet, didn't it?
Yeah, came from the back underneath the seat. They were sitting in the back, and just woof, and they heard it, and this flame came out, and literally, I think Roger, I remember Craig, and they laugh about it now because everybody can, but Craig said Roger had gone over the top of Craig's wife from the middle seat over the front of the bench in the front of the van, out the window or out the door before she had even gotten out.
He was first out.
Yeah, he was first out for sure. And everybody got out, okay, thankfully. And I mean, they ran around the back and opened the back doors. And they just said it was a wall of flames. And they just started grabbing what they could to get out of the car. And they got 2 bikes out. And I don't remember all the other things.
Yeah. I think we bought toolboxes and spares and sprockets, I think, because you'd lost those in the fire. I think that's what I ended up bringing up for you. But it was crazy. That was a crazy. It was
nuts. My number 1 bike got stuck. The back wheel, it got so hot that quick, the back wheel melted to the bike rack.
Oh, shit.
And they couldn't get the third bike out. That was my number 1 bike that year. It was like my favorite ever.
Oh, man.
And I remember we lost that one, and it was like such a shame. So, and that was just hours before the race started. So like Morgan said, this is where the Speedway family comes alive. And, you know, I try not to meet many enemies over my years. And I made a couple of phone calls. One was to Sam, I think, or Sam and the guys, and which got to Morgan, and then Josh Larson and some of the guys that were living in our area, Chris Manchester. And within a couple of hours, I mean, I had nothing. We had just my 2 bikes and my gear bag. Mm-hmm. We ended up, I had more equipment in the pits before the race started than I think that the pits overall. So I had bikes, I had engines, I had sprockets, I had tools, I had I had everything. And you know, that's when you realize how you know, people are always there to help, you know, and you always give back. So you never know what's around the corner. You don't burn a bridge.
No.
And those ones that burn the bridge, that, you know, I've heard of, you know, there's been a few that have burned the bridge between us, and I always forgive, you know, but it's still, it never leaves you. You know, you think, gosh, I never did anything wrong. I always tried to help out. And then someone burns you and you're like, is it my fault for letting them burn me? But anyway,
but yeah,
true friends, never burned me.
Friends stick together, and
How did the race go?
It's a good friendship we've got.
It's a really good friendship. Really good friendship. And Stefan just asked how the race went, and I'm pleased to say that I made it to the final that night, and I think I was the last in the final. But Brian Anderson.
But that was the year.
Mm-hmm.
That was the year you was world champion, wasn't it? Because we came to Voyens. I think you clinched it in Voyens, didn't you?
I did, yeah. And the more cool thing was, so after this event, we're taking this conversation away from you, Morgan.
That's all right.
after this
Not all
event,
about me. Not all about me.
And typical Greg, you know, he wants to talk about himself again.
Once you get him rolling.
Yeah, don't let him. Yeah, I'm like an old deacon. Once you get me going, you can't slow me down.
We all know Greg so well.
Hancock time, dude.
Go for it.
Yeah. But the following GP, which was a couple of weeks later, I had some great friends through a guy named Jeff Davies, who a lot of people know in England too, and he worked for Rover and is a photographer. But he had some friends and people through Peugeot, working in Peugeot in England there in the Midlands. And one of the guys there became a really good friend, and he gave me a van to use for the rest of the year.
Oh.
So we got this nice van, and we fixed it up quick just so that we could get everything ready for the next GP. Loaded everything up on the car. We're on the way to Rocklove, I think it was. It was Rocklove.
Yeah,
Poland.
could have been, yeah.
Yeah, so we're all loaded up, and the whole crew and all the equipment, and we're on the way to Rocklove. We get into Germany, and we're quite far down the road. And suddenly the van broke down.
No.
And I quit in the middle of the motorway. And we're like, talk about a test, right?
Yeah.
The test of all tests. Here we are. We just had this van burn down. Here we are on the way to the next GP, and the car stops in the middle of Germany. It's like, somebody doesn't want me to win the world championship. That's what I kept thinking in my head. Who's trying to stop me from, this is ridiculous. And anyway, long story short, phone call back to the guys at Peugeot. They said, listen, we will radio, we'll fix it up. If we can get your van onto a flatbed and get you back to Calais in France, we will send a driver with another van down to Calais, down to Dover. He'll take the ferry across. He'll meet you in Calais. You guys can swap cars. Maybe we'll take the car back, and you're on your way. That's how it worked. We all got back in. This big flatbed truck showed up. We all crammed into it, loaded the van up onto the back of it. We drove, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours back to Calais in France. That guy was there waiting for us when we got there. We literally jumped out. We took everything out of our van, threw it in this new van, piled in, and we bolted, and we showed up minutes before practice started. We still made it for practice.
Oh, you did?
Minutes before the practice started.
Yeah.
Climbed out, everything going, and then went out there, and I ended up winning that event, extended my lead in the championship, and it was like, that was the test.
And it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
That was your.
Yeah, you never give up.
That was your year.
What happens if you don't show up for the practice? Is that okay or?
Oh yeah, it's okay if you didn't need to practice, but like, I wanted to ride. I want to practice. This is all part of it. You got to find what. I just lost my #1 bike. I want to find the bike that's going to be right for the day. All of these things are the motions, the mental stress, you know, and all the work that my mechanics and all the people around me put into this whole thing, you know. It was just like, this was a big year between Craig and Roger and all the guys. It was, you know, I take my hat off to each and every one that put something into this, because without them, it never would have happened.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You too, Morgan.
Everybody works so hard as a team, don't they? Even to this day, everybody involved in the team, and it's all the hard work behind the scenes that wins world championships.
Well, you've been a part of many of those world championships with guys like Billy Hamill, at some point with Sam Ermolenko, of course. You've been working with numerous guys. You've been working back and forth with me for many years as a mechanic, as a supporter, as just an advisor in many cases, and a supplier. So, you know, if you think about it, you've had numerous hours of burning the midnight oil, right?
Oh yeah, many a drive to Poland. I know when I was helping Sam with a drive on a Friday night from Derby, which is where we're based, and I think at the time Sam was running for Łódź in Poland, and you'd have to drive through the night, so you go down to Calais, and then all the way through Germany. You get to Poland, exhausted after driving 24 hours, sometimes on your own, sometimes with some friends or other mechanics. Get up on Sunday morning, do the race, and then you've got to be back in England because he's racing at Wolverhampton on Monday night. And that was some long weekends. And often we had some rain-offs, and that's when it gets hard work because you drive all that way for a rain-off, and you've still got to turn around and drive home.
And they reschedule it for the day after or something. So you drive all the way back to England, do that race, and you have to turn around drive straight back. That's happened too, right?
Back again. Yeah. It's just constant. And it's 1,000 miles to Poland, 1,000 miles back. But I guess when you're younger, you can do it. And I wouldn't say I'd be doing it now.
I'm right behind you.
Yeah. I'll be doing the air travel, I think, if I needed to do it.
Well, I take the air travel option as much as possible these days, as do my mechanics. So unless they absolutely have to drive, we find it much more advantageous to have equipment in Sweden and equipment in Poland, and then let the mechanics travel between when we can. And then they're rested. They're not completely worn out. You know, they've had a good meal. They've had a good night's sleep. They're hydrated, etc. And
I guess things are different now to what they were 20 years ago when I was doing it. Poland has changed so much. Polish Speedway has changed so much. You know, even driving across Poland when I first went there was an experience. And I think you agree, Greg, that country's moved on so much in many ways.
Absolutely.
But,
you think about your dad too.
One of the memories. Yeah, I mean, my dad never got to race in Poland, but when he was racing, he was doing a lot of international grass tracks, and he got to race in East Germany before the wall came down. And I think that's as far east as he got. But yeah, things have changed so much now. I do remember when I was helping Billy Hamill in '91. One of our furthest trips was when we went to Rovno in Russia.
Yeah.
And you remember the old red transit van he had?
Yeah.
And I think it was the time when the CDs had just come out, and we got a CD player in the van. And I drove all the way to the Polish border. And back then you had to wait 10 hours in traffic to get through the border.
Was that just you and the CD player that drove?
Yeah, me and the CD player. And actually, on that trip to Russia, we had Ty Woofenden's dad, Rob, with us, and Neil Machin.
Of course, I was going to say Neil. They were like
Neil Machin, yeah. And I think I was only about 18 years old. And we drove all the way to Poland, and as soon as we got on the CD player wouldn't work.
Oh.
Just because the roads were so bad. The CDs just kept skipping. So we ended up dismantling the dashboard, taking the CD player out, and I think it was Neil or myself or somebody had a pillow on their knee, and we were balancing the CD player on there just to get the music. It was some trip.
Oh, see, that's the kind of stuff. Yeah.
Do you remember what kind of music it was? You remember the first CD you got? Like,
I can't remember now. But we had all sorts of CDs in the end because Billy was into all sorts of music. But no, we had a good trip. We got all the way to Robno. I think it was a semi-final, and he actually won the semi-final. But
right. The king of Robno.
Yeah, when we got to the Russian border, there was actually a police escort waiting for us all. We had to all meet. There was probably about eight Speedway vans from all over Europe. There was some Swedish, I think Jimmy Nielsen was there, Paul Thorpe, maybe Mark Ram. There was quite a few guys, and we had a police car at the front, a police car at the back, and we drove about 10 hours into Russia in a convoy, and such an experience. And we got to the hotel, and they'd organised everybody on the trip has got their own interpreter. So whatever you wanted, you just asked them. It was an amazing trip, and when Billy won it, it just topped off the whole trip. And such a long drive home, but it was worth it.
That, to win it, to go home with that win, that would definitely make it worth it.
Yeah.
Think about some of the guys who might not have qualified. They just went all that way. That would have been like doubly as long ride home, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Especially if you just missed out on that last place. But that's racing and that's Speedway, as you know. You've had ups and downs in your career.
Yeah. Still to the day.
Billy went to the World Final that year, and which was in Gothenburg, and that was my first ever experience of a World Final as a mechanic. And then from there, I went on to help yourself. We did a couple of Australia trips together, didn't we?
Yeah, those were those were really fun.
On the David Tapp series.
Gosh, yeah.
We probably saw more of Australia than a lot of Australians.
Man, those are probably some of the most memorable, great travel times I've ever had, for sure. And you were part of those.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It was so funny. We had such a laugh, didn't we?
Oh my gosh, the people we met on that first tour in Australia that I did. I don't know if that was your first one there, or you had been there before, maybe. But for me, it was the first one.
Yeah, I've done it, not on the Tap series, but I've been to Australia before then. But just the riders, all the riders traveling together, being together all the time. Everybody got along, and some very, very great memories we've had.
Oh man, I think about the people we met on that first trip, the David Tapp series. We were there. We flew in.
I'm just looking at some old photos now.
Oh gosh, I think we flew in. We left like Christmas Day or something, and we landed.
That's right. Yeah.
My trip was about 30 hours from LA. By the time I had to go to Auckland first, and then I went from Auckland to Sydney, and then Sydney to Perth. And it was like 30 hours or something. It took me to get there. My first trip to Australia, and I went from middle of winter in California, which is really cold.
Oh yeah,
really cold. It's probably like it was at 20 degrees or something. And then I went to like 35 or 38 or whatever it was in Perth, and I remember I was almost dying when I got there. And everyone get there, and everyone's in the pool, and the beers were open. That's how I started my first trip to Australia. We had such a good time. I'll never forget that first coming to the hotel. And everybody was there. You were already there too, I think, Morgie, and it kicked off from there. And we spent two and a half months in Australia, and did maybe
just traveling across Australia.
Was it 10 or 12 races we did in 2.5 months?
Oh,
there's a lot of downtime.
Oh, yeah.
So we made the most of it.
There was a lot of beer drunk.
There was David Tapp was he was doing Speedway. He was doing Grand Prix Speedway before Grand Prix Speedway had just taken off in '95. That was the first year, right? And David is the promoter who we really hope to have on the podcast at some point, because the guy's he's an iconic figure in Australia. He's well known for his voice and his commentary that he does around from different. Originally was like was it Australian Rules, and wasn't he doing some of that stuff, Morgie?
Yeah, and I think he does a lot with the sprint cars, doesn't he? I think.
Yeah, he did that too. Was there more of the other stuff first, or was it sprint cars first? Or maybe he can tell us.
I'm not so sure. Yeah, he got his family, and he was traveling with us, wasn't he?
Uh-huh. Yeah, for sure.
But,
Yeah. He was rad, and the
we had
amount of
some
things we did, yeah.
we had some good riders on that tour too. I was just looking at some photos. There was Tony Rickardson, Simon Wigg,
Tony
yourself,
Casper,
Sam Malenko, yeah,
Calvin Tatum.
Jakob Olsen,
Mhm. Yeah.
Lee Adams.
But
Dude.
just
Yeah, really good times.
I just have a maybe off topic, but you don't race anymore.
No.
No.
I raced for Cradley when I was 16, 17, and I was in an individual meeting at Oxford Speedway,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a crash and went through the fence, and I broke my pelvis, my foot, my arm,
Oh,
and I was in a bit of a mess for a couple of months.
In one crash, huh? You really
Yeah,
got up at
yeah, it was a big crash.
Hmm.
But yeah, there was a lot of people crashing that year for some reason, and my confidence wasn't there. So I took some time out, and that's when Billy Hamill asked me to mechanic for him, and I ended up doing mechanicking then, and never got back on a bike since. Really,
you haven't?
I think I may have been on a bike once. I think I went to Kings Lynn. Might have been 98 or 99. And I spun some laps, but I don't have the desire to get back on a speedway bike.
You don't know. I can see that.
No.
But with all this experience and the background and stuff like that, how do you see that Speedway has changed over the years until now?
I don't know if Speedway's changed as much as it's become a lot more professional, a lot more competitive. I think at the Grand Prix level, I'm sure Greg will agree that you've got to be super fit. You've got to be so mentally strong, and you can see the ones that are, because they're the ones that are doing the winning.
Yeah.
But everybody else has got to catch up to that, because I think that's what everybody is aiming for, and you've got to be there. But Greg does an amazing job. I know Greg's super fit.
Not super.
I think Greg wishes he was 20 years younger, but
then I would be.
We're all getting older. I'd be super fit. But you've probably seen it as well, Greg, haven't you? The changes.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun just to hear you say it too, because you've lived it the same way I have, but maybe just on the other side of the fence, and you deal with everybody at least as much as I do. You know.
Is that something that you can see in your industry too, when they are ordering parts and it's more? I don't know how to say it. Is it more?
Good question, actually. I was hoping to ask Morgan a little bit about this. This is cool.
Do you know what I want to say in English? That they are more specific about what they want, or they need more quality and everything.
Yeah, that's one thing that me and Greg will agree on. With what's happened in recent weeks, we won't go into too many details, but you need quality parts on your Grand Prix racing machines. You see the focus that Greg and the top guys have on their equipment, and it's got to be the best equipment. I think it was a couple of years ago that they let titanium come into Speedway, and that's changed the bikes a lot, because titanium's light, it's strong, and it makes everything last longer, and the quality's so much better. Obviously, there's a weight limit on a Speedway bike, so there's only so much titanium you can use. But,
how do you keep the quality up?
How?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? How do you
just?
You don't race, but you probably can advise a lot.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean,
because, you're dealing with the riders, so you know what the demand is, but you're also dealing with the manufacturers or the producers and stuff like that. That's quite interesting.
yeah, I mean, we all know there's a lot of parts come from China. We try not to deal with a lot of the Chinese parts because we can't guarantee the quality. So a lot of the quality are manufactured in the UK and Europe, and that's what we base our business on, and selling quality parts. So we have no problems, and riders don't have any problems.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, Greg will agree that that's what you've got to do.
Do you do your own parts too?
We don't manufacture our own parts. Some parts we do, but we have our we're a distributor of certain parts. So we supply parts to Sweden, Denmark, Poland, Australia, America, all over the world, really, where there's Speedway.
You can basically say that Joe Hughes International is the world's largest Speedway distributor. I think it's pretty safe to say that, Morgie, whether you would.
That is awesome.
We try to be, but you know, nobody likes to blow their own trumpet. Yeah, it is getting tough. Yeah.
No, I can blow it for you.
Business is tough in general. Yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, I've seen from what the business model that your dad set up originally, and that and what you've taken over the years, and now obviously taken over the complete business yourselves. Of course, things are changing, and I mean, in the world, everybody's moving to Asia and other countries to try to develop a more, I guess, cheap is the best way to put it, type of part. But that's in everything we do today, right? Not everybody goes to the top store. Yeah, they all go to these places that make a cheaper quality part, but you can buy 10 times to the one good quality part most of the time. But people go for the price in that moment rather than thinking long term, and that's the business model of today, sadly, but it's what you want to do.
Do you know in big numbers how many articles you have in your book or in your?
Oh,
there's a good question.
That's a good question.
I mean, it's a lot of pieces on a bike.
I can see Morgan counting on his fingers right now. 1, 2,
4.
3.
Yeah. I don't know how many parts.
I saw that you have a lot of things, not just the parts. You have the clothes and the cooling.
There's a lot of there's a lot of parts involved with Speedway, and when you've got a Speedway business, you've got to have more than one part in stock. And I don't know how many parts we've got, but I would have a guess at maybe 100,000.
Wow,
which is a lot.
Yeah, it's got to be at least.
When you take into account all the nuts and bolts, and then parts in engines and carburetors and chains, and there's so many parts, it's unbelievable.
But you guys, you don't just stock the parts that we're using today. You stock the parts that are even from the past, right? So you can you can buy quality original products for an old Jawa or a JP or isn't that true, Morgie, or am I?
No, that's true. Yeah, we still manufacture today things like the exhaust pipes for bikes that you first started riding, Greg, a GM upright. In England, the upright bikes have actually come back into fashion, and there's a lot more people wanting to restore them.
There's a future for me. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, when you we can build you an upright bike, Greg, no problem.
But if
go in the upright racing when you retire.
That's right.
do you have
like
frames and things like that too? So if my kids want to start riding, can I give you one call and say that I want everything to build a bike?
Build a bike.
And you can send me a package.
Pretty much we can do that, yeah.
Cool.
As we did that with we did that for Wilbur, didn't we?
Yep. We
set Wilbur up with a junior bike ready to go, and he's now progressing to a 250. Is that right, Greg?
That's right. He's been kind of halfway there for over a year now. And now we actually had a practice yesterday, and which probably people saw on social media, because we're pretty quick to, blast all whatever we got. But he's really moving. But Morgan built the first junior speedway bike for him, complete ground up, and had it. I remember I still got the video of you guys taking it for the first start around your place, and then drained all the fuel and everything up, packaged it, and sent it to me in Sweden.
Oh,
and then
cool.
we put it back together and put the fuel in it, and yeah, I mean, it's
away you go.
Yeah, still it's crazy. You can just, interesting thing with Speedway, and we tried it here in Sweden too. When Roger and I had the Hancock distribution business, we built complete bikes, race-ready bikes, like Morgan built in England too. And because we were dealing with motorcycle dealers, so we built complete bikes, bought engines from here and chassis through Stua and all the contacts that I have in the world, built the bikes up, and we just placed 4 bikes in different dealers around Sweden just to put on their showroom to show. So when you're walking around, you want to buy a motocross bike for yourself, and then your son's with you and you want to buy a little Pee-wee, or you want to buy something, and then there's a road bike over in the corner, and there's a trials bike, and there's a speedway bike. And just to see if people would take an interest in, hey, where do you get one of these? And the amount of people that came and looked at it and took an interest and maybe looked at the price and information about it, not one person ever inquired to buy one, not one. And we had them over almost a year, I think, on the market.
Wow.
And not one person in the everyday world looked at it. So we always wondered why, like Morgan, if you want to buy a speedway bike, you call somebody like Morgan or whatever the dealer that might be in your area, and you basically, he says, okay, what frame do you want? What wheels do you want? What handlebars do you want? What kind of seat? What kind of covers, colors? And he basically
and
for you.
And I guess you base it on who's buying the bike and where they've come from. Are they familiar with Speedway? And I guess you'll agree, Greg, that a lot of new Speedway riders, whether they be 8 years old or 18 years old, they've either started out with motorbikes or they have parents that have ridden motorbikes. So you can kind of base what they want on where they've come from. In England, we've had in the past a few motocross guys start Speedway, Craig Cook being one of them, that's gone on to be a Grand Prix rider. And they probably never ever thought they'd be a Speedway rider. The kids are the future for sure, and we probably need to do so much more in the UK to catch up with places like Poland, places like Sweden and Denmark, who have such a good kids program. That you agree, Greg, that
Sure,
England is struggling with juniors, although we have a couple of good lads coming through now with Robert Lambert and Dan Bewley hitting the scene.
And Dan Bewley, wasn't he another motocrosser?
Dan, yeah, he's come from the motocross side, so and he's going to be a good lad.
He's going to be really
he's one of our customers, so yeah, he's going to be good. And he's a really nice lad.
Yeah, I agree.
Have you ever seen like a small speedway track or something where you can go and rent it for like half an hour or something, like you do with go-karts?
Oh, right. Yeah.
For kids, or is it too dangerous?
Yeah. Well, in England we struggle with the noise and built-up areas, especially if somebody hears a motorbike racing around a track. They almost instantly phone the police and say it's too noisy. And then you have problems. Places get closed down because of the noise problems. But we're quite lucky here in Derby. We have a local speedway track in Burton-on-Trent. And they just do a training for the children. So it's just a training track. And we actually built a couple of bikes for the kids to go and try Speedway.
Really?
And
wow.
We did that with the proceeds that we raised with my dad's meeting that you and Greg came over in 2013.
Wilbur and I came over, yeah.
So yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we built a couple of Speedway bikes for that, and the kids go and they can just try Speedway, and if they like it, then they can come and buy a bike. So that's what we try and do for the juniors. Although we could do more, you're always restricted on the time you've got in your own life to put forward. But Tom, who works for us, he's one of the trainers there. He goes down every other Saturday and helps the kids out. So yeah, it works good.
Oh, another good kid. This kid Tom that works with him, Tom Woolley. If you put it like the Hughes family, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So they've got the same kind of people working in there. You know, Tom's like just an amazing kid all around. Yeah.
Tom's been with us since 2008, so 10 years now.
How old was he then?
And
young.
Yeah, I think he just left school. So, but yeah, he's been working with us. He's built the business up with us. He rides himself at Buxton, so he knows everything about a bike, which then feeds back to the customers. So if a customer phones up with a problem, we can answer the questions. So you need customer service in any business, and I think especially Speedway, with it being so specialist.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And
you guys are a one-stop shop.
We try to be.
So you can buy a suit, you can buy helmets, gloves, goggles. You can buy. I mean, you can walk in there or you can drive in there with your empty van, and you can walk out and go straight to the track and go ride. Wow. You know, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We had a lad came in on, I think it was Monday. He had a big crash at Glasgow, and he completely wrote his bike off. I mean, completely. I think the only thing he saved was the back wheel and the engine. And Tom spent most of the day with him and basically rebuilt his bike so he can go riding again.
In one day?
So we've got a little work in one day, yeah. They had new front wheel, new diamond, forks, rear frame, everything. But Tom knuckled in and helped him rebuild it, and the lad got back on the track. So we try and help as many people as we can.
You guys do
as much as we can.
Yeah, and you're new.
But that's the way my dad. That's the way my dad built the business up. So we continue to do that.
Yeah.
Do you also show up on the race days with a big van so they can?
Yeah, not so much now. We do the Grand Prix in Cardiff, but we don't do the tracks as much, just because the internet is so fast now, and people can order the parts after the race, and they've got the parts the next day. There are people still going to the tracks with the vans, but it's getting fewer and fewer, I think.
That used to be huge, actually, Stefan. The track fans, and they were quite active. Morgan or Joe back in the day, they had a van that went to specific events around the UK on race nights, and I mean, we relied on that as riders. That you didn't order it all the time ahead of time. You just went to the track and it was there, or you could order it even last minute before they were leaving their office to go to the race. They say, hey, listen, I need this and this and this, or I need some extra tubes and I need some clutch plates and a throttle cable, and can you bring it tonight to the track? And it came there in a parcel ready to go. You walked up, you grabbed it, and you left.
Oh.
It was really, really effective.
Yeah.
I mean, you know now, Greg, that you've probably got that much equipment that you don't need a spares van as such, because you've got the spares with you all the time.
I was just going to say that, you know what, that's probably the reason why is now we carry such a variety of spare parts in the cars with us, and the quality of the parts today, you know, if depending on the quality of the parts, they don't break unless you have a big crash. And if you have a big crash, you end up on your second bike anyway. Maybe the big crash destroys your bike and you can't go. But then again, we carry so much stuff with us now that we don't want to miss anything. So you gotta have plenty of gear with you. And the demand, if Morgan, you know, he said this earlier too, that the sport has gotten more professional and all these things, but the demand, not just the Grand Prix, from the league racing, especially Poland and Sweden these days too. UK, I can't comment on so much because I'm not there myself, but I think the demand is so high for performance that if you show up with something that's, excuse the expression, half-ass, but if you show up with something half-ass, everybody's going, what are you doing with that? It's like showing up with a used tire. You just don't show up with a used tire, right? You always got to have new tires on. And I think that's the level of the sport has gotten so high. So you've got to be ready. We have to spend more money with guys like Morgan and stuff to make sure that we're prepared.
Yeah, that's true. You know, guys are changing parts on the bikes a lot more just to have the upper edge. Yeah. Clutch plates being one of the parts. We sell thousands of clutch plates, and they should last a long time. But Greg will tell us that if you've got a newer clutch in there, you've got a better chance of getting to the first corner first, and that's where a lot of Speedway races are won, is get to the first corner.
So that's a secret.
It's not really a secret. It's actually the truth, and it's the. You know, I got a guy like Luke Becker who's with us still, and we've been helping him all year and advising him, and he keeps wanting to buy new plates and new stuff. And I'm like, hang on a second, I have such a stock of used plates that you can go through, and they're plenty good. I can still win 95% of the races on these plates, but that extra 5% that I need in a good plate that will make sure that I win every single heat, I got to have it. So then I have to rotate my plates more frequently. So I spend, without a doubt, as Morgan would say too, and RAF and the other companies that supply the products, I think clutch plates must be one of the #1 sales, because you got to have them. And Luke digs through my spare piles of what I've got, and he's like, dude, some of these are still pretty good, you know? And I'm like, yeah, use them, beat them up. I'll send you a bill later.
That's one thing that has changed. People used to use the clutch plates and get more wear out of them before they change them, but people are changing them a lot more to get the upper edge.
Right. Yeah. And you got to do it. I remember Morgan numerous times over the years, like I might have gone through one of those up and down spells, and you would call me up, dude, you need some plates, or you don't look like as sharp as you were before. Are you sure you're doing this and doing that? So even though he's the sales guy and he's the parts supplier, he still watches everything. And he knows how every rider,
watch all the time.
How they work and what they do. And he would call me, and in the end, you end up going that extra mile or trying something new that maybe he had on the market, or someone else brought some other product that came through his shop. And hey, have you thought about trying this? And then you always try it. I always try it, whether I believe in it or not.
Always try.
Yeah.
You got to find the edge, that winning edge.
That's right. That's right. And we've done that numerous times, and Morgan's been good to kind of let me know that, hey, there's something new on the market. If you haven't heard about it, maybe you ought to look into it. And again, that's where the connection is, and that's where that discount that started with his dad has always paid back dividends, so to speak.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We're pretty lucky to have guys like him in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just a business. I mean, it's a friendship, isn't it, Greg? Really, Hence why you come into our wedding.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. There's no question, right?
So is it a lot of things to do left to the wedding, or are you calm? Or?
I think we're all pretty much set. Christine picked the dress up yesterday, so she's all set with the dress. I picked my suit up on Tuesday. So yeah, we're all looking good.
You got any branding on your suit?
No company logo.
You know how to do that?
We've got.
Put it on the shoes, under the shoes, so when you walk in the stand, jump.
You got I like that idea. That could work. Joe Hughes sticker on my wedding shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. Are they going to be Daytonas?
No. But no, that'd be good. We've got some great people coming. Like I say, Greg's coming. I think Ty's going to try and make it. A good friend of my dad's and mine, Barry Briggs, is going to make it, I think.
Oh, great.
It should be really good. And we'll have a bit of a party afterwards too.
Oh,
Fantastic.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super, super cool. Well, I mean, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a big day for everybody. And you even mentioned about doing the podcast during the wedding time. In the message when we were talking about this, I'm like, dude, that's your wedding day. This is your day. We can't. But I like your style.
Well, we might have to do another podcast.
That's well, hey, yeah, that's right. Just
Live send.
Yeah, if you start to see them,
you could
with this blue microphone. You better be nervous.
Microphone.
Yeah.
You could get some world champions there. Yeah, on your podcast.
Oh yes, I might just have to. There might have to be a few mini clips.
You just put the microphone on the table.
And nobody knows.
No.
It's censored.
I'm sure you can organize that.
Totally. Well, you know what, Morgie? I mean, you can see that, we talked about the podcast before, but you can see the time can fly, and we could talk for hours and days. And
oh man, yeah, we've been on the phone. How long have we been on now? An hour? Wow.
Yeah, at least. It's probably over an hour. And it's always like this, but we always do. Every guest that we've had, fortunately, we've had some really cool people that have agreed to join us, like you, and you finished the podcast saying, like, I hope we can do this again, because we need to elaborate more, and eventually I really hope that we can talk more, because there's a lot of stories to be told. People might not care about it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff out there that you might find rather intriguing.
And it's a cool
yes, I've got some stories just like you have.
oh yeah, there's a lot of stories that we want to tell, and there's a lot of stories that we probably shouldn't tell, but you never know, one or two might slip out here and there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, Morgie,
all right, dude. No, it's been great talking to you, and
likewise.
glad I could join you on your podcast.
Thank you for joining.
So look forward to seeing you on Monday, and thanks very much for having me.
Hey, thank you too, and we wish both you and Christine and everybody on the day a big congratulations ahead of time, and wish you a lot of luck, good weather, and maybe a cold pint or two.
Perfect.
Morgie, thanks again, buddy. Yeah, you take it easy, and we'll be seeing you sooner than later.
Thank you.
No problem, dude. Thanks, mate.
You got it.
Welcome to Real 45 with Stefan and Greg Hancock. We vibe out and have real talk, so tune in and check this out. Yeah, today is a new day. Let's seize it now and get hyped. We talking about our careers, our family, and just life. Yeah, share my story with you. Inspiration like every day. Real 45, we gon' keep it live. I keep episodes on replay. Hey, Real 45. Yeah, Real 45. Show them how we do it, man. Yeah.